Your Excellency Prime Minister of Greece, Mr. Mitsotakis, Your Excellency, dear Dr. Dis, Chairman of the Board of Management of Volkswagen Group, dear Ministers, dear Members of the Parliament, dear Ambassador Dr. Rachel, dear Mayor of Astypalea, dear Governor of South Aegean, Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear friends, καλώς ήρθατε στην Αστυπάλαια. Στην Αστυπάλαια που κάνουμε πράξη μια σπουδαία ιδέα. Astypalea's island paves a brand new way today. Greece paves the way to the future. The project Astypalea, being launched at the heart of Aegean Sea today by Excellencies Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis and the CEO of Volkswagen Group, Dr. Dis, lays out the foundations to transform the island of Astypalea into the first green and smart sustainable island in the Mediterranean Sea. Astypalea is an ideal place of unique beauty that was chosen for the implementation of this ambitious and innovative plan. Today, already took place the donation of electric vehicles from Volkswagen to meet the needs of the local authorities. Moreover, the next years, Astypalea will become autonomous in energy, eliminating the use of oil electricity and zeroing emissions through a hybrid system that will include the installation of 1 or 2 wind turbines, a small photovoltaic park, and an energy storage battery. The Greek Ministry of Foreign Affairs has embraced this ambitious plan since day one, since the day that was just a great idea. The project Astypalea is an emblematic victory of the Greek government, Volkswagen, and the recently reformed Greek economic diplomacy. We will keep working hard to promote Greek interests abroad and make Greece a unique investment destination. Καλώς ήρθατε στην Astypalea. Welcome. Now, I will pass the floor to the mayor of Astypalea, Mr. Komninos, and then, Komineas, I'm sorry, and then right away to the governor of South Aegean, Mr. Hadjimarkos. Thank you very much.
Dear Prime Minister of Greece, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, I welcome you today in Astypalea with great emotion, since you are the first Greek Prime Minister to visit our island. Your presence here is a clear signal of the government's support to small and remote islands like Astypalea. I would also like to welcome Deputy Minister Mr. Fragogiannis, who by now has become a true Astypalean. I also welcome a number of ministers and government officials, members of the parliament from our prefecture, our regional governor, the rector of the University of the Aegean, the president of HEDNO, and other distinguished guests. With the same word, we welcome the Honorable Ambassador of Germany and, of course, the President and CEO of Volkswagen, Dr. Dis, and his associates, as well as the Vice President of Cosmocar. Mr. Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, your presence here confirms the great interest and strong will to put in place a model in Astypalea, which I strongly believe it's the only way to preserve our planet. A model that will activate our transition to a sustainable, circular, and solidarity economy enabled by clean, green, and digital technologies. A model that will improve the living conditions of people while maintaining the uniqueness of the island's natural and cultural heritage, its way of living and values. We have already started implementing this model on the ground through the Astypalea Smart and Sustainable Island Program, a program that will allow the electrification and smartening of the island's transportation, a program that puts Astypalea in the global spotlight of innovation. In parallel, we implement a series of projects through an integrated approach to transform Astypalea to a clean and green island and destination. Our ambition is to inspire other Greek and European islands too towards this new paradigm. To achieve this, we need to work with the people. We are putting ourselves at the center of the transition process. We intend to bring change for the people, with the people. We are actually starting today this wonderful, challenging journey that will lead Astypalea to the future safely. On this trip, we will be fellow travelers, and thank you for that. So, welcome to Astypalea of the future. Thank you very much.
I think we can take off the masks from this distance. Your Excellencies, Mr. Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis, Ambassador Ernest Reichel, Honorable Ministers, Mr. Skrekas, Mr. Skertsos, Honorable Deputy Ministers, Mr. Petsas, Mr. Kefalogiannis, Mr. Fragogiannis, Honorable CEO of Volkswagen Group, Dr. Dis, dear Mayor, dear Nico, Mayor of Astypalea, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, is a world rising right after the pandemic going to be better than the one before? Well, this is not a question to raise predictions, but the bright chance to take over commitments. Today's inauguration is an historical moment when a very interesting and very promising journey begins. The project of Astypalea is a milestone for South Aegean region and for Greece. So it is with pleasure, pride and honor that we welcome you all here today. This initiative will transform Astypalea to a carbon-free island, and combined with renewable energy sources development, Astypalea will become an international showcase for sustainable mobility and energy independence. There is no doubt that the effects of climate change are increasingly being felt all around the world, and we must act quickly and effectively to minimize the environmental, economic, social impacts. All Greek islands have the potential to be pioneers on the green energy transition. And this initiative, the Astypalea project, I believe, will highlight this potential. The challenges we're all facing today are bigger and more crucial than ever. But the determination and the vision of our Prime Minister, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, is already paving the way for a new green and digital Greece. Volkswagen choice, Dr. Dis, is undoubtedly the most valid endorsement and proof that we can make this vision a reality. This wonderful view from this unique location is our natural and cultural heritage. It is our obligation to protect, preserve it, and hand it over unspoiled to future generations. Well, in Greece, in the South Aegean region, we don't sit, wait, and watch the future coming. We shape it. Thank you all very much.
A great idea was conceived about a year ago. Why not create the first smart and sustainable island in the Mediterranean? This will serve as a model for future, larger-scale implementation of electric mobility with energy coming from renewable energy sources. Here is the picture of the future before the future. Astypalea was chosen as the project's ideal location in August 2020. The island's size is perfect for applying cutting-edge technology on a controllable scale, big enough to draw conclusions, small enough to be affordable. The island's shape is quite extraordinary. It looks like a butterfly and is thus known as the butterfly of the Aegean. As many islands in the Aegean Sea, Astypalea is sunny most of the year, and there is also great wind energy. These comparative advantages ensure the project's success. Our joint vision became a reality very quickly. In November 2020, a Memorandum of Understanding was signed between the Hellenic Republic and Volkswagen. Just a short month later, the kick-off meeting took place. With the start of the new year, 2021, working groups are formed and each group buckles down and begins producing results. Today, we can see installation works of the publicly accessible charging points and construction aiming to upgrade Astypalea's energy network and infrastructure. Meanwhile, away from the spotlight, 5 ministries of the Hellenic Republic, along with the municipality of Astypalea and the region of the southern Aegean, are working together to make sure red tape is minimized and the legislative framework is in place. Today, we are catching just a glimpse of the future. Soon, we will be able to see the whole picture, a picture of the future before the future.
Κύριε Πρόεδρε, Dr. Dees, Your Excellency Ambassador Reichel, dear guests, dear ministers, welcome to Astypalea, the butterfly of the Aegean. It is known that when the caterpillar thought its world was over, it turned into a butterfly. And so, in a way, just when climate change is to cause detrimental damage to the planet, Astypalea, the butterfly island, sends a message of hope and transformation. The Hellenic Republic is known to be committed to green energy, sustainability, and innovation. And so is Volkswagen Group, under Together 2025 Plus strategy makes mobility sustainable for current and future generations. So together, we act and take responsibility towards both the environment and the society. And so the smart and sustainable island was born, which, as said, is a picture of the future before the future. Now, at this point in time, I would like you to be patient with me for 1 minute, because there is a number of contributors to this fascinating project that has been particularly difficult to implement, as all said need be coordinated. My particular gratitude to the Ministry of Energy and Environment. Minister Skrekas, dear Alexandra, thank you so much for your contribution. Second, to the Hellenic Ministry of Development and Investments. To the Ministry of Interior, Minister Petsas, thank you so much. The Ministry of Infrastructure and Transport, Minister Kefalogiannis, thank you, sir, indeed. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has been taking responsibility for coordinating all of the above. And a particular gratitude to the Aegean Islands Regional Office, Mr. Hadjimarkos, thank you. To the municipality, Mayor Komineas, thank you so much. To HEDNO for doing so much work in distribution of the energy as needed. To the consultant of the Mayor Daphne, to Cosmocar, that has been a representative of the Volkswagen Group in Greece for 50 years, and they have done tremendous work in supporting us, and above all, to Volkswagen Group. Thank you, Dr. Dees. Mike Stefan, thank you so much for your perseverance and support to this project. Now, the project is made up of 4 pillars, and I take particular pride to be presenting to you today the progress made and give you a status report as to what has been done and what needs to be done. The electrification of the vehicles is one. The smart mobility is the second. The charging and energy is the third, and potentially the autonomous driving. Now, when it comes to the vehicle electrification, the idea is to switch the existing fleet of combustion vehicles with electric. And we're not speaking only of cars, we're speaking of scooters and motorcycles and even bikes. We are dealing with the micromobility, we're dealing with the passenger cars and the utility and light commercial vehicles. And I'm going to be presenting to you the progress on what else, but on a battery cell. So on that battery cell, we will show you on that graph that progress that has been made. So the first 12 electric chargers have been installed. Second, the utility vehicles have already been donated by the Volkswagen Group, and there is Dr. Dis is going to comment on that a little bit more in his speech in a few minutes. The banking loan facility has already been granted. All 4 Greek banks have prepared a program for the residents of Astypalea and the community of entrepreneurs to be in position to finance the remaining cost that is needed in order to make up following the subsidies of Volkswagen Group and the subsidies of the Hellenic Republic in order to switch from combustion engines into electric. For that purpose, we have worked together with the Ministry of Energy, the so-called Astypalea program that is ready and its digital platform is ready to use. Let's go to the video presentation, please.
Στο πρώτο έξυπνο, πράσινο και ενεργειακά αυτόνομο νησί της Μεσογείου, οι μετακινήσεις μπαίνουν στην πρίζα. Η Αστυπάλαια γίνεται το πρώτο ηλεκτροκίνητο νησί. Γίνεται το νησί πρότυπο για τη βιώσιμη κινητικότητα. Με αντικατάσταση του συνόλου του στόλου των κρατικών οχημάτων με αμιγώς ηλεκτρικά. Με οικολογικό μπόνους για την αγορά ηλεκτροκίνητου οχήματος κάθε μορφής, από ποδήλατα και μηχανές μέχρι αυτοκίνητα, επαγγελματικά οχήματα και ταξί. Η επιδότηση αφορά Η διαδικασία της αίτησης είναι εξαιρετικά απλή. Μπείτε στην ιστοσελίδα του προγράμματος www.astypalea.gov.gr και εγγραφείτε στην υπηρεσία με τους κωδικούς τάξης NET. Συμπληρώστε τα στοιχεία που σας ζητούνται για το όχημα ή τα οχήματα που επιθυμείτε. Επισυνάψτε τα απαιτούμενα δικαιολογητικά και τέλος υποβάλλετε την αίτησή σας. Για οποιαδήποτε πληροφορία απευθυνθείτε στην ηλεκτρονική διεύθυνση info@astypalea@prv.ipk.gr. Το πρόγραμμα Astypalea είναι μια μοναδική ευκαιρία να αλλάξετε συνήθειες μετακίνησης, εξοικονομώντας χρήματα και προστατεύοντας το περιβάλλον. Μειώστε με τη συμμετοχή σας το κόστος της ενέργειας για το νησί και συμβάλλετε στη μετατροπή της Αστυπάλεας σε νησί πρότυπο για τη χώρα.
As you see, the partners to this program have ensured the maximum subsidies to support, together with the banking loans, the ease of replacing combustion engine vehicles with electric ones. The charging units have already been placed, 12 of those, and there is going to be 60 more that will be placed on the island for public use. And then, once the electrification of the island is on its way to completion, we go to smart mobility. That means the public transportation to operate on demand, taking us wherever we wish, whenever we need. No more need to wait for the bus that goes by every half an hour or 45 minutes, but you may call up an e-van to pick you up from where you are and take you to wherever you want to go. Besides to that, there is also going to be a vehicle sharing service, meaning that you do not necessarily need to own a car, but make use of a car, a vehicle that is available for everyone. So we are going to be transforming the way transports are being made, and we are working on that. the smart digital service application, the hub that is to be constructed together with a workshop for e-vehicles and parking and charging station for the e-shuttle buses. There is going to be full technical support that has been agreed, and it's going to come in 3 phases. 2021 will start with a soft launch to test the program as of September this year. Then it's going to go to a larger scale in 2022, and it will fully blown in 2023. Now, if we go back to the battery cell of the graph that shows what has been completed, which is the next page, then the fundamental elements have been specified. The partnership with the current operators has been secured. The legal framework is in place, and what needs to be done is to define the service operator, to do the vehicle sharing implementation access, and to make an adjustment on the national legislation mode. The third pillar is related to the charging and energy. And the idea is to replace the old diesel generators with a hybrid system, meaning that there is going to be a photovoltaic cell together with one wind generator that will use solar and wind power to fill in a battery that will provide energy to the island. No more CO2 emissions, no more expensive energy created from diesel, but rather an RES, environmentally friendly energy system. It will be available in 2 phases. In phase 1, the photovoltaic plant of 3 megawatt-hours will fill in a battery system of 7 megawatts that will provide 100% of electric vehicle charging needs, and that will be 55% of the island's overall energy demand. And at the second phase, by 2026, there is going to be a potential addition of 1 wind turbine that will eventually lead to 80% of the island's overall energy demand. Now, and as far as the hybrid energy system itself, it's going to be a showcase of an innovative technical and commercial model to match the electrical vehicle charging with renewable energy. It's going to reduce the energy cost by as much as 30%, reduce the CO2 emissions by 50% in phase 1 and 70% in phase 2. The project is to serve, obviously, as a pilot for green energy production in non-interconnected Greek islands, such as Astypalea. And finally, it's going to increase the energy security and resilience while reducing the dependence on fossil fuels. Back to the battery cell. The key aspects of the system have been specified. The tendering process, Mr. President, has been completed. The legislation to allow auction launch is in place, and we're looking at the potential locations for the PV plant and the battery unit to be installed, even though we've targeted a few of those. The idea is to auction to select a hybrid system developer, license the procedures and do the connection agreements, and obviously this will lead to the installation and connection to the grid, which will become available, will make available the operation in phase 1. The fourth pillar, and the most exciting one, is a potential pillar. And we have agreed that whenever the technology is available, and whenever we have completed the signage excellence, the road infrastructure, and the 5G coverage throughout the island, which to a great extent has been completed, then autonomous driving may be tested on the island given the available technology. Road and signage excellence will be provided. Now, moreover than that, and I'm going to be passing the floor to Dr. Dis in a few minutes, we've done research. We are going to be doing a research study, and I would like to give him the opportunity to explain this in more detail in his own speech. In as far as communication, which is very important, we are looking at 3 different targets. One is the local community that needs to be educated. Sometimes people are afraid of the unknown. Sometimes people are, in general, they tend to refrain from changes. So we need to induce the program and explain what it is about and how it impacts to the better their lives. So there is going to be a great number of actions that will be delivered in this direction. We are going to be looking at our stakeholders and partners in as far as what they need to know in reference to the program, and of course the general public. One of the things that we are doing, we have, as a matter of fact, completed it and will be available for use by June 10th, so in 8 days, is a website, the smartastypalea.gov.gr, that will at any point in time give information to whomever wishes to find out in German, in Greek, and in English, the progress of the project. So every work that is being done, every new deliverable that is being made, every new vehicle that is being registered, and the progress of the battery cells that I've shown to you earlier is going to be provided on this website. Obviously, this is what we call rebranding Greece in action, and it has gained a great deal of attention on media throughout the world. Greece has been known for changing. And the best way to express this, in my words, is that the country of the 3 S's, the sun, sea, and sand, is soon becoming the country of the 6 S's. The sun, the sea, the sand, the solar, the smart, and the sustainable. Welcome to the future. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to pass the floor to Dr. Herbert Diess.
Dear people of Astypalea, this is probably, or for sure, the most beautiful place I've ever been able to give a speech or a brief introduction. So thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here, and it's a great honor for me being here, and I'm really have to say I'm enjoying being here. Dear representatives of the Hellenic Republic, dear ladies and gentlemen, since we have started our project last November, I wanted to come here and I wanted to witness one of Europe's most aspiring climate projects, and I would say one of the most exciting climate projects, making Astypalea the European blueprint for a transition towards sustainable mobility. Today we are pressing the start button to electrify this island. Together with the Greek government, we have made 3 promises to the people of Astypalea. First, Volkswagen will bring 100% zero-emission mobility to the island. Electric cars, car sharing, scooters, commercial vehicles for every situation in Astypalean life. Today we handed over the first all-electric police vehicle we have ever produced in Greece, and I'm happy that this is an ID.4. The new ID charger will ensure an optimal charging experience. With the electrification of the government fleet, we will show that e-vehicles cover all types of mobility needs. Second, the energy system on Astypalea will soon mainly be based on wind turbines and solar panels. And I'm glad that Mr. Komineas plans to disband the diesel generators and focus on renewables instead. E-mobility only makes sense with clean energy from wind and from the sun. Third, we will discuss and include people's ideas while transforming the mobility environment around their homes. E-mobility will make their lives cleaner, easier, and more convenient. This dialogue with the local people will help us to recognize key levers and barriers for the transition to e-mobility on the island. This is very valuable. This is very valuable knowledge, because what we are going to see on this island, and what will last probably some 5 years or 6 or 7 years will probably last in the rest of Europe 20 years or 3 decades. Though the switch to e-mobility on Astypalea is an instant, real-time experiment of what Europe will experience at a large scale in the coming years and decades. This is a unique chance for creating a living e-mobility lab on the island. So we are working together with European scientists. Experts from the University of the Aegean and the University of Glasgow will examine the transformation. Their academic research will demonstrate what hinders or what accelerates the uptake of e-mobility on this island. The study's findings will be an important source for any EU politician seeking for guidance when it comes to decarbonization. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hellenic Republic and Volkswagen are clearly committed to the Paris Climate Agreement. Volkswagen will bring down its CO2 emissions to 0 by 2050. The goals of the Green Deal require e-mobility and renewables at large scale in Europe already by 2030. Astypalea serves as a blueprint and a living lab for this fundamental transition already today. Our smart and sustainable mobility island project demonstrates if governments, businesses, and communities work closely together, decarbonization can be realized fast. Not just on an individual island, but in regions, countries, and ultimately across continents. I want to thank Prime Minister Mitsotakis and the Hellenic Republic, and first and foremost, the people of Astypalea and the universities of the Aegean and Glasgow, and all the local partners that contribute to this exciting project. Thank you very much.
Now I have the honor to call the Prime Minister of Greece, Mr. Kyriakos Mitsotakis, to take the floor. Mr. President.
Dear Governor, dear Mayor, dear Ministers, Mr. President of the Volkswagen Group, dear Herbert, Mr. Ambassador, ladies and gentlemen, Kyrias και κύριοι, search hard enough and the future can be glimpsed in some surprising, some unexpected places. Take this small, rocky island in the western part of the Dodecanese archipelago, more than 2,000 kilometers from Volkswagen's high-tech plant and headquarters in Wolfsburg. It's an island associated with an ancient civilization, with a rich culture, a rich past, and a very, very promising future. And yet, what we are delivering here on Astypalea is nothing less than that new beginning. It's a doorway to a newer, cleaner, greener, more sustainable world beyond the combustion engine, where energy powers our lives without harming our planet. And what we are doing here represents one small but very important cog in our collective effort to solve the world's climate emergency. And have no doubt, it is an emergency of unprecedented scale. Our climate is warming rapidly. The consequences are felt everywhere. Too many people are waiting for this emergency to be solved by others. Others are waiting for that breakthrough moment, that eureka moment, that magic silver bullet that is going to solve the climate crisis. I'm afraid that's not how it's going to happen. Rather, if we're going to address this unprecedented crisis, then it will require bravery, and we will have to address it all together, by acting together in many different ways, across multiple areas, and we will have to do it simultaneously. And in Greece, we are doing our bit. We have brought forward the complete phasing out of our lignite coal electricity production. We're focusing our efforts on creating green jobs in areas of the country that were very dependent on heavy industry. By 2030, 2 out of every 3 kilowatt hours consumed in Greece will come from renewable energy. And through an unprecedented program, we are making Greece more energy efficient at home and at work. We're trapping heat in the winter. We're providing cool environments in the summer without the need for energy-heavy air conditioning. In April, we were one of the first European countries to submit our recovery and resilience plan to the European Commission, what we call Greece 2.0, a raft of investments and reforms that will help us accelerate our transition from fossil fuel to a greener economy and drive a cleaner natural environment with the reforestation of 500,000 acres and the planting of 30 million new trees. Taking care of the environment is, of course, nothing new for Greece. Neither is the partnership between the state and the private sector. Behind me, you can see examples of what renewable energy looked like hundreds of years ago. These traditional windmills that will be replaced by modern windmills and solar cells to provide clean energy. But I think it is an interesting bit of historical trivia that in 1889, the first green provision in the country's legislation was passed. And at the time, it stated that the chimneys of laboratories for the production of light and electricity should not emit dense smoke. This resulted in filters, the first filters being introduced to protect the environment. The inspiration behind that pioneering law was reformist Prime Minister Harilaos Trikoupis, who wanted to combine private energy production with state provision for public health. It was a progressive idea with a strong social dimension, building out Greece's first networks of electricity, but not at the expense of clean air. Today, that progressive spirit is as alive and well as it was in 1889. Just as the Athens of 1889 welcomed the light of the future, so the Astypalea of 2021 illuminates tomorrow for the next generation. And again, it is a state collaborating with the private sector, dear Dr. Dees, that is driving the Mediterranean's first green sustainable island. Ladies and gentlemen, as was previously described by Dr. Fragogiannis, by Dr. Dees, our plans for this beautiful island are bold. Astypalea will be the test bed for the green transition. Energy generated entirely from nature, powering an all-electric, fully integrated transportation system. a circular energy system that will provide valuable insights and lessons that we hope in time will be scaled more widely across Greece and beyond. To achieve this, we will be replacing the island's diesel power stations with a system of photovoltaic and wind turbines, which will convert the sun and, as you can attest, the island's abundant winds into energy. Energy that will be stored in batteries, by use by islanders in their homes they inhabit, and of course in the electric cars we hope you will use. The first electric cars on the island, the Volkswagen vehicles that you saw here today, will be used for public transport, the Coast Guard, the police, the civil aviation. Hopefully soon we will have also an electric ambulance for the healthcare center. Charging points will be installed across the island. We already have 12, which I understand is the highest density of charging points in Greece, but many more will come. Half of them will be free to access, and in time we will offer 200 electric vehicles on the island for rent, meaning that visitors will also play an active part in driving sustainable tourism. But of course, our ambition, dear Mr. Mayor, doesn't end here. We have already launched, as you saw, the Astypalea platform to help islanders replace every one of their 1,500 conventional internal combustion vehicles with electric ones. And of course, as you saw, the subsidies are much more generous than the rest of the subsidies we have for the Greek mainland. And there will be subsidies not just for private vehicles, but also for taxis, cars, motorcycles, electric bikes, and of course for the charging points that will drive this electric revolution. I'm also fascinated by the fact that this process will be monitored, observed, researched by two leading universities, the University of the Aegean and the University of Strathclyde, which will work alongside Volkswagen, monitoring and systematically evaluating this transformation of Astypalea. Their study will focus on what the island's inhabitants think of the new mobility and energy system and what factors actually influence their transition to green energy. The results of this study will be publicly available, and in time, we hope, will help other countries as they look to create their own sustainable energy solutions. As Prime Minister, it is the potential that we see here on Astypalea that excites me the most. The potential to obviously take these lessons to other islands. The potential to use these insights to create the right system of incentives for change. And the potential, of course, to scale a pilot on an island of just 1,300 permanent inhabitants to other parts of Greece and to other countries around the world. We need to drive change at a very fast pace. We need to do it more than ever. Our experience over the last 18 months has shown us that our world is very fragile. It has demonstrated to us that if we do not take care of nature, if we do not respect our natural environment and habitats, our world will be placed under threat. But we have also demonstrated what is possible when we work together. Our scientists have compressed the work of a decade into less than a year. We've discovered a number of new vaccines in record time. We've applied innovative technologies such as messenger RNA. And I find it stunning that a little more than a year from the start of the pandemic, more than 5 0.5 million doses of vaccines have already been administered in Greece. 2 million Greeks are now fully vaccinated. And of course, Mr. Mayor, I would like to congratulate you because the uptake of vaccines on the island of Astypalea has been very, very high. Almost 80% of the population of the island has already been vaccinated because we have prioritized our small islands in the vaccine program. And you're sending a very, very positive signal to the rest of the country about the merits of vaccination. And I'm also proud that technology and ideas that have been pioneered and promoted here in Greece have been adopted to tackle the crisis. We were pioneers when it came to artificial intelligence-driven smart testing, the use of the passenger locator form, and of course, the European vaccine certificate, what we now call the digital COVID pass, has become a reality. And we're very proud that we were able to prove that when Europe wants to work together, it can deliver results for its citizens in record time. And I think that spirit of cooperation, that speed of action, that sense of urgency must be the model for tackling the climate emergency. We now know that we can achieve great results when we work together rather than against each other. And when the private sector, when academia, governments, local communities come together. And here in Astypalea, we are doing just that. And I want to finish with some important thank yous. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Deputy Minister Frangagiannis, who first came up with this idea. And when we started talking about this project, I know that Dr. Dies was skeptical, but I can sense the excitement in the Volkswagen team now that the project is actually taking off. This is a tremendous opportunity for Greece, a tremendous opportunity for Astypalea, a tremendous opportunity for the country, and we will be following the progress of the project very keenly, and we will stand by the island, the local community, help Volkswagen, making sure that this project is a success. So I want to thank your team for investing a lot of effort into this project. Also, particular thanks to the Ministry of Environment, the Minister, the Secretary General, Alexandra Zdoukou, for leading our e-mobility effort. Thank you to the regional governor. Thank you. Ευχαριστώ πολύ, κύριε Δήμαρχε, για την στήριξή σας και να ευχαριστήσω όλους τους δημότες της Αστυπάλαιας που από την πρώτη στιγμή αγκάλιασαν αυτήν την καινοτόμο ιδέα. Διότι δεν μπορούμε να κάνουμε πράξη την πράσινη μετάβαση αν οι πολίτες δεν αντιληφθούν πρώτοι ότι είναι προς όφελός τους. Και σας θέλουμε συμμάχους σε αυτή την προσπάθεια, διότι θα είναι προς όφελός σας τελικά καλύτερη ποιότητα περιβάλλοντος, καταπληκτική διαφήμιση για το νησί σας παντού στον κόσμο, φτηνότεροι λογαριασμοί τελικά ως προς την ίδια την κινητικότητα, αλλά νομίζω και αυτή η πολύ σημαντική αίσθηση και υπερηφάνεια που θα πρέπει να αισθάνεστε ως δημότες, ως κάτοικοι αυτού του όμορφου νησιού, ότι συμμετέχετε σε κάτι πραγματικά καινοτόμο, σε κάτι πραγματικά πρωτοποριακό, που ελπίζουμε ότι μπορεί να γίνει το μοντέλο για όλα τα νησιά μας, αλλά να φέρει, όπως είπαμε και στην παρουσίαση, το μέλλον στην Αστυπάλαια πιο νωρίς από ό,τι θα ερχόταν υπό άλλες συνθήκες. As was already mentioned, when you see images of Astypalea from above, from space, or if you just look at it on the map, you see an island remarkably shaped like a butterfly. And I can't think of a better symbol of the natural, but also of the mechanical than the butterfly. We know that our world is delicate in balance, and if a small butterfly island can play its part in tilting that balance in favor of the natural world, then this 5-year experiment will have been worth the effort. Thank you again for listening, and thank you all for being here today. Best of luck with the project.